it's one day to the partial closure of the third mainland bridge, and officials of the federal and Lagos state governments have mapped out ways to ease traffic on the various corridors.
Africa's second largest or second longest bridge will be partially closed for 6 months. In the studio with us is the Lagos State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Olusegun Ogungbemide. It's nice to have you join us right now.
It's a pleasure to
be
here.
Thank you for joining us.
And we also have our TVC News reporter, Sarah Yeku, there at the portion of the third mainland bridge to bring us up to speed with what is going on. Now, let me start with you, Sarah. I wonder what edge of the bridge you are right now. What are people saying, and what is the level? What are you seeing that is changing around there when it comes to preparation for tomorrow?
So, Mike, so from the office to this point, it took us about 8 to 10 minutes, which is like, quite interesting to see that there is no traffic from Ketu down to this point. So where I am right now is on the median to give you a perspective of those who are going into the island and those who are coming out of the island. And so this section is that section here, Wutemeta Junction. So up ahead, I understand that there is traffic up ahead all the way down to Adeniji, Adele, and all the way down to the island. So of course, it's chilly, and of course there are concerns that the bridge will be partially closed tomorrow. But then this concerns, of course, understandable, especially when you hear what the government has to say concerning the reasons that they have given for the partial closure of this bridge. They've said that they need to repair the expansion joints. Some of the expansion joints, we can actually feel the vibration while we're standing on the median, and it needs to be repaired. And they have also said that they need to repair some bearings, they need to go under the bridge to repair some parts of the bridge that are already falling apart. So they've given reasons why they have to partially close the bridge, but of course there are concerns from the residents in Lagos.
All right, let's put you on hold. We have our guest in the studio to talk to us more about this because they will be in charge from tomorrow, because a lot of concerns, like our correspondent has said, a lot of Lagosians are concerned about the management of traffic. So talk to us about what it would look like beginning from the partial closure tomorrow when it begins.
Thank you very much. I want to commend all Lagosians for the kind of cooperations and expressions they have really made towards this rehabilitation. I also want to assuage the fear of Lagosians that we're on top of it, because the closure is going to take effect from 12 midnight, that's the partial closure, on Friday. And with what we have on ground as our traffic management plan, I think we are on top of it. If you look at the news review we just had now, you look at the inward Lagos Island and the outward, while we are counting close to 100 vehicles coming into inward Lagos Island, you'll see just about 5-10 vehicles going towards the mainland. It's an indication that we have made enough provision by allowing outright priority of the road for vehicle heading towards Lagos Island at the peak period. That's where we have massive 60,000 vehicles heading towards the same direction, where you have pockets of vehicles coming to the island. So there is no counterflow where we create confusion. We are getting it from there. And the alternative routes that are required for those that are coming towards mainland, with all the other alternative routes available, have already been taken care of. We have our men deployed. We have the state and the federal government working on all those routes to make it more tolerable, to avoid unnecessary grill-up. As at yesterday, I was on Third Mainland Bridge just to assess the situation. That's after the mini simulation that we did early hours of, let me say, yesterday. Yeah. We're there to monitor the work on the diversion points, and I can see a lot of progress.
Okay. Now, the Corps Marshal talked about deployment of over 200 staff that will be manning, traffic regulations here and there. But before I let you talk about that, let's bring Sarah in here before we let her go. Sarah, you are on the bridge somewhere. Did you speak with drivers and motorists and maybe even passengers on what they feel, because the sector commander here in the studio has said there's nothing to fear, there's nothing to panic about when it comes to the traffic and how things are going to play out. But what are the drivers saying?
Okay, so one of the concerns that people have raised, just like the government has given us alternative routes, one of it is the waterways. They have encouraged that commuters should explore the waterways to go to the island. But one of the concerns while we spoke to some commuters is that especially the passengers and even the commercial drivers, they have told us that there could be a hike in the transportation fare. And you know that this particular sector, the transportation fare is not really regulated. So you have the commercial driver, if he loses man hours on the road, he's putting the price of that on the passenger. So a lot of persons are concerned that there could be a spike in transport fare and a hike in transport fare. And of course, if you go down to Oworoshoki and to some other bus stops before you get to the island, you see that a lot of commuters are still standing there waiting for BRT buses. They're still standing there waiting to get a ride down to the island. So if the traffic is being diverted to Ikorodu Road and all other places, that particular traffic, the commuters that usually go through this route will have to go all the way to that route. And of course, there will be a jostling, a struggle for commercial buses. So that's also a concern a lot of persons are asking about. They do not know what to do eventually, when the bridge is partially closed.
All right, Sarah Yeku, thank you for bringing us up to speed with developments with regards to the closure. And we would like the sector commander to quickly react to the concerns our correspondent just raised about motorists.
Thank you very much. A series of stakeholders meetings have been held between the federal and the states, including all the security operatives that will manage the traffic. And the Lagos state government has given us the assurance of intervention in the area of bringing more buses to convey commuters. And from the risk analysis we actually did too, we have been able to straighten out all the gray areas as regards the condition of the road. We've been having a series of gridlocks because of bad roads, and all these things have been straightened out. And I can see the agitations of Lagosians because of their previous experience. Just like the commercial said, we have deployed more than 250 men right from 3rd Mainland Bridge to all the routes. That's outside what LASMA must have deployed. I can only tell Nigerians that if we know naturally there will be some measures of inconveniences, what we are requesting for here is that make use of the alternative route, keep your private vehicles at home so that we can have well-reduced
less number of cars on the road.
On the road. Make use of other sorts of transportation, the waterways, like pedestrianization too, where you can trek, keep your vehicles at home.
But the bridge is a long bridge.
When I say pedestrianization, there are some you make a little walk and get to a point where you can get commuters. It assists your health.
Okay, let me ask you, there's a point there is, we all know that anything you put on ground, there are still some drivers who are going to be violators.
Certainly.
How are you preparing for that aspect of things?
Whatever we put on ground is going to go simultaneously. The enforcement and the traffic management is not going to be business as usual. We have all our strategies mapped out. We have our recovery points where a vehicle breaks down is going to be picked up from the road immediately. And if you recall, we had an intervention enforcement a few days back where we tried to arrest some truck driver. We were just being proactive, doing it ahead of time.
That's around Kara Bridge?
Yes, Ojota,
exactly.
Where we arrested more than 25 tankers. The essence of this is to send signal that if you know your vehicle is not fit to walk, to ply that road, don't bring it out at all. And there are so many things we have done under COVID-19 that we're able to work from home within this last 6 months, rather than getting yourself so choked up in the traffic. Though we are there to intervene, why not do the little you can do from home?
If I might just quickly ask this question before we let you go. You said it's not going to be business as usual. Are there penalties that perhaps motorists might be faced with if they are not cooperating?
They violate some of the regulations.
If the fact that we are there to manage traffic does not mean we are there to look over some unpleasant situations. If you personally decide to go against the traffic rule, you'll be penalized. without still creating obstruction, because naturally there will be some people that will be there, recalcitrant driver, that will still want to go against the traffic despite the presence of our men. And if your vehicle is not fit and you put it on the road, that's why we are sounding this note of warning. If you know you don't have a sound vehicle, where little grid locks bring about overheating, creating unnecessary, we can't afford to manage unnecessary obstructions on those routes. Please keep your vehicles at home. And we are not going to stand any assault against any operatives, because from our risk analysis, these are the things we anticipate.
Okay. All right, Sector Commander Ogungbemide, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
It was a pleasure.